What instrument do you sit down and write with?
It depends. Different songs, I start on different instruments. Like the title track Harakiri, I wrote it on piano. Certain songs I wrote on acoustic guitar. Those used to be my two most kind of go-to songs for my solo records. The system I used to write on electric guitar mostly. But I also write on different formats now. Like I do a lot of electronic kind of building of tracks, you know. So, what I've done is I've cut all my previous records into loops, and I put them up on the screen in Pro Tools or Logic or whatever program I'm using, and kind of build tracks up using my own loops as a way of just sketching what I want. Then play live instruments on top, change things around, live drums, live bass, live guitars. But it's a nice way of sketching stuff. I've used that technique for years, even from before Elected Dead, my first solo record. But now I'm using that more. It's a quicker way to kind of define things, and it's a way of surprising yourself, you know, because you're technically like building electronic tracks, but you're using rock instrumentation. Surprising yourself in terms of songwriting and arrangement. That's what I mean. Whereas if you start with one instrument, you build the arrangement. It's a different way. They're both very effective and both different ways of doing things. I also use the iPad on this record to sketch out 3 of the songs. Another way of surprising myself as a songwriter to write in a different way.
The iPad?
The iPad, yeah. In fact, we just put out an iPad app ourselves called I Am Serj, and it is a music app for the iPad, iPhone, iTouch 2, etc. And it basically contains all of the loops from Harakiri, the record, as well as you can purchase loops from the previous records. We're talking not just drums and bass and guitars and keys, but vocals, orchestra, you know, brass, pianos, like all sorts of stuff. And, you know, it's a really ingenious program developed by Savage Apps based on their I Am Beatbox series. They have a bunch of programs like that. I love their interface, so we worked together and partnered up with Savage Apps and developed I Am Serj. It's a really cool app. So it's you know, using the XY axis, you kind of develop beats and do stuff like that. It's just a different environment, and it was a fun way of just playing around. And then I thought, hey, why don't I throw one of these, you know, into my Pro Tools system, and let's see what we get, and play live instrumentation over. And next thing you know, we have 3 songs from the record.
What advice would you give to musicians trying to go the solo route after being with the band for so long?
Don't be afraid. It's only music. You're not a surgeon, no one's going to die on your table. People are really afraid of losing their fan base. People are really afraid of being seen one way or perceived another in our industry, because there's a big kind of cloud built on conception. And as an artist, the fear is the last thing that you should be worried about, you know? You should be creating. You should be going after your vision, your muse, and create whatever it is that you're supposed to create in this lifetime. Your solo album, you know, the solo direction is not an easy one, because to a certain degree you have to start from scratch, you know. Maybe not totally from scratch, but almost, you know, and build things up again. And it's a hard road, just like it was building your original band, whatever that is for each artist. But it's a well worth road, you know, building different projects. You know.
Would you say it's easier than starting from the ground up as you did before, or?
A little easier, yeah. More than a little easier, because you already have a base of followers that like what you do, some of which may transfer over to your solo project, some of whom may not, but it's still starting with something, whereas when you did your first project or band or record, you started with nothing.